You don't got, you're playing touch butt with that dork in the park.
There's a little snake in the grass.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
No forget Jesus, people.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Hey, Pussy, are you still there?
I'm back.
Who the fuck is that guy? Break out the red panties. We're rich, baby.
I would like to introduce...
Welcome to the MMAforMoney Show, episode 86. Like the hands on a Rolex watch, we just don't stop. I am your host, as always, Mike Copenhaver, also on Twitter at Don'tCopeJustWin. You're joined by my producer and MMAforMoney Show co-host T. How you doing, T?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to be here once again. It was good to see all the fans come out in full force Saturday on first time in a year. And I mean, they added a lot of energy Saturday. That was awesome.
It was incredible to have the UFC fans back in full effect in Florida. I can't say enough good things about the energy they brought and the energy that some of the fighters brought to the cage, because we had some really, really exciting finishes. But before we get into that, I just want to shout out our sponsors of the show. The first one is Melon Brand Hats. It's MELIN Brand Hats, melon.com. They make the luxury line hats, some of the best in the world. They're just super unique, made by the best materials. It started by and co-founded by my buddy, Rory Mcdonald, who was in high school, was talking about this hat line that he would have. And man, it's sure shit. He just has it, and he sponsors Michael Chandler, Phil Mickelson, and a bunch of other top world-class athletes. So pleasure to have Melon Brand hats. So go check out their hats and get yourself one. You'll never go back. Next up on the card, we have Fokai Stuff, FOKAI stuff.com. Guamanian gear. It's some of the coolest stuff ever since. That's their slogan. I've been supporting them since my brother was on The Ultimate Fighter, and before them, my boys from Guam. Shout out to Herman Tirado, Brandon Vera, sponsored by them, and a bunch of other world-class athletes. So stoked to have Fokai on the team and to have some of their gear here soon to support on the show. And last but not least, my first ever sponsor and, one of the most important, Spliff Seeds Amsterdam, SPLIFF Seeds Amsterdam. If you go to their site and look up Lemon Cream Kush, my plant is featured there on the front cover. So it's a super big honor for me and always stoked to have them. So make sure you go get yourself some genetics to grow for this growing season. So with that said, thank you all for joining us here live on Haps. I really can't thank all you enough, the 51 of you live here viewing, and the rest of you that are coming soon. So with that said, last week's UFC 261 was really exciting, man. I'm going to go through a few of them quicker than others, but as I stop, we'll have a reason for it. But first up on the card in the prelims was Ariane Carnalassie, who was 12-2, and she fought Na Liang. Carnalassie just literally manhandled her. These two girls were going at it, though, throwing bombs at each other, and literally Carnalassie just had too much power, like I talked about on the show last week. I was worried about the jiu-jitsu game of Na Liang, and she really didn't even show up because she was such a warrior, showed up to bang, and really exciting. So shout out there, Carnalassie, for the win. Next up on the card was another really exciting fight. We had Jeffrey Molina, and he fought Aori Qualing. Man, that was a really cool fight, man. Those two guys, I believe it was fight of the night. They went at it, man. I mean, all 3 rounds, they literally just threw every punch possible in combo. Jeffrey Molina withstood the test. After the second round, he kind of took over and just everything swung his way. So he ended up getting the decision. Shout out to Jeffrey Molina for that war. Next up on the card, we had Rong Zhu versus Carzula Vargas. Man, both these dudes, they once again went at it. And Carzula Vargas, he ended up on top, and he was an underdog. So shout out to him for that cash. Next up on the card, we had Dana Batcarel, who was, like we talked about last week, every single one of his fights ended by finish, and this wouldn't be any different when he just destroyed Kevin Navidad and TKO KO'd him to hell. Then we had Tristan Connolly, who took it short notice, or the first time in the featherweight division, dropping down weight class, fought Patrick Sabatini. Patrick Sabatini looked good pretty much for the whole fight, but Tristan Connolly definitely came a little on strong towards the end, but Patrick Sabatini definitely looked the favorite and won that fight. Then we had our first, and both our bets of the night were on the same dude. It was Brendan Allen. I mean, I really didn't even notice how small of a chicken leg that Roberson had, but he did not want to play with any part of that the leg lock game that my boy Brendan Allen had. So we plus 200. We cashed that submission. So all you who cashed Brendan Allen on that, shout out to you for we cashed that plus 200 with a half unit flick. So we won 1 unit. And then we had Brendan Allen on the money line at negative 135. We had a 1 unit flick. So about $70 on that. So about 1.7 units won on Brendan Allen last weekend. Went 2-0 on our bets. It couldn't have went any better, man. Brendan Allen looked exactly like I thought, and Carl Roberson was the tapper, exactly like I called it. So when I say that these guys are tappers, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, it's what they do. It's what he does. He's a tapper, man. He's done it 3 times before that, and that was the 4th time. I love getting these situations where I could get someone who's tapped before versus a guy that I feel his jiu-jitsu is absolutely superior. So shout out to Brendan Allen for cashing that for the MMA for Money team. That's 4 fights in a row that we've been on a roll, just absolutely dominating. So just looking forward to cashing more bets for you guys. So make sure you join the team. What did you think about that fight, T?
Oh, you gotta love it, dude. Call that to the T. Allen submission, and he did it. We did the money line just to be safe, in case he didn't tap him. But hey, he did that pretty quick, man. He showed out, so gotta love that.
Yeah, I just want to say shout out to Jackie Girl, one of our biggest supporters on there from Kansas City. Shout out to Ryan Richardson, also Kick Your Bass on Twitter. Nice to have you here, and the 56 of you live that are tuning into us, break down, review, and preview the next UFC. Like I said, we just talked about Brendan Allen dominating Carl Roberson for our win. And then next up on the prelim was Dwight Grant versus Stefan Stakulik. Man, it was a really exciting fight between these two. 1 second. Sorry about that. Dwight Grant versus Stefan Stakulik. Dwight Grant is just, like we said, younger, just trains with a great camp, and he just showed it over 3 rounds, won a 3-round decision versus Stefan. I just really, I didn't think Stefan had a chance, but just, man, Dwight Grant with the favorite. He showed it sure as shit. So then we had Randy Rudeboy Brown versus Alex Oliveira. Man, this was another fight that T and I thought about betting on the card. There was a lot of bets last week that we could have fired on. I wish we would have fired on, but as professional bettors and someone giving out betting advice, we just don't want to fire a bunch of random units all over the place just crazily. So, with that said, Randy Bootboy Brown looked absolutely amazing for the negative money that he was over Alex Oliveira. He got a round 1 submission over Alex Oliveira. It wasn't even a rear naked choke. It was a rear naked choke, I guess, but it was a 1-armed rear naked choke. He had one of his arms so tightly underneath his chin, and then he put his neck and his head so tight against his shoulder that he ended up getting enough, choke to make Alex Oliveira tap. But he reminds, like, Alex Oliveira is very much so like Fabinski and very much so like Carl Roberson. He's a tapper, once a tapper, always a tapper. And I just have no respect for guys that tap that quickly. It seemed like he wanted to tap before he even got close to being choked out. But who am I to say? I've only been choked out by War Machine and the likes of Barrett Yoshida and Herman Torado and all of them. So it is what it is. So that was the end of the fights, the prelims. But Randy Bootboy Brown really looked good there, man. I can't say enough good things about that fight. Then we had the main event of the card. It was, hello, Mel B. Pleasure to have you in here. And thank you so much for the Super Hard Award and the high five. And thank you for the Super Hard Award, Jackie Girl. I really can't say enough thank yous to you guys. You guys make the show what it is. So then we move on to the main card of the evening. The first fight on the main card was Anthony Lionheart Smith versus Jimmy Crute. And man, if you go back last week on the podcast, I told you just listen to my theory. It's the vet versus the newcomer. And I'm not talking about Diego Santos vet where you can actually bet against them. I'm talking about a guy that still has some skill. He's got a lot of experience. And Anthony Smith and Jimmy Crute just literally shared leg kicks pretty much until one of them got hurt. And Anthony Smith ended up landing one that ended up affecting the central nervous system or the nerves of Jimmy Crute. His legs looked like Bambi legs, but still somehow Jimmy Crute with those messed up legs was able to take Anthony Smith down. Not once, but I did believe 2 or 3 times. And so it was crazy that he could even do that with his legs compromised. But Anthony Smith ended up getting the TKO, which, isn't really true. It's the referee stopped it because of the injury. So, I'll take the fact that I called Anthony Smith as the dog. I believe it was almost a plus 200 dog. So shout out to any of you guys who cashed that. And that just started the beginning of the awkward fun of the night. It was from leg injury to leg injury. And if you did not see this fight, please go look at it. It was Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman. And I don't know if it was deja vu or if it was just fate in general, but Chris Weidman, who was a part of Anderson Silva throwing the infamous leg kick that broke his leg, where he won the championship fight himself, he threw a leg kick, a mean-ass lower leg kick, but it was obviously he either had a hairline fracture or something there compromised, but it literally snapped his tib fib at the lower section of his leg. It snapped so loud he didn't even notice it as he kicked it, but as he planted on his foot, it went like it's literally Gumby leg, Jello, linguine leg. He fell on it. It was really it's seriously disgusting and awesome at the same time. I was definitely one of the people to cheer for it because man, I'm just a vicious dude and I love that shit. I think it's crazy that Anderson Silva could have it done to him, and then it happens to Chris Weidman, and now Uriah Hall was there watching it. And so if fate plays any part of this whole story, possible Uriah Hall in the future, if his leg breaks, I'm gonna laugh my ass off. Not to be mean, but just because of the pure irony of it all. What did you think about that, T?
Man, it was just nasty, that leg kick. I mean, I had Hall, so I mean, I wasn't complaining, but I mean, you hate to see. I hate to see a broke leg like that. It reminded me of, like you said, Silva and the Lattimore injury when he played for South Carolina, like that type of stuff. Oof, it's just
it was
gives you
gross,
butterflies, man.
Oh, it's definitely gross, but so shout out to Chris Weidman, former champion and MMA stud. Hopefully he recovers fast. I know personally from a Harley crash that I broke every toe in my left foot and my ankle connection. That I just never, I'm never the same. So hopefully he can prove me wrong and become a little more agile. But as you try to repair those type of injuries, the muscles and the bones, they atrophy and they become dormant, and it's just harder to flex and to move and rotate and stuff like that. So hopefully he just gets himself repaired and moves on from that. But I don't like him fighting very much longer after, especially something like that. But then we had the first championship bout of the night. My girl, Valentina, the Bullet, Shevchenko, doing what big time favorites do and just whooping that ace on Jessica Andrade. Like I said, Jessica Andrade was going to have 1 or 2 rounds of power, and she didn't even get to showcase it because my girl Valentina's fight IQ is so fucking high that she literally didn't even give Jessica time to even rush her because Valentina was all over like flies on shit, overpowering Andrade, slamming Andrade down with trips and takedowns with body locks. It was incredible, man. I was baffled by the game plan. And then Valentina gets freaking Jessica Andrade in a crucifix, basically Barrett Yoshida, the finisher down in San Diego at the arena. And she retained her belt, and she's just absolutely deadly. Besides Amanda Nunes, no one is touching my girl Valentina. What do you think about that one, T?
That it went exactly how I thought. I mean, actually worse than I thought, because as soon as she touched her, it was over. She grabbed her and didn't let go and just completely destroyed her. I mean, she should have been minus 5,000 after looking at that fight. That was a joke, bro. And that was the best you could throw at her because, I mean, dude, she just – you can't dominate somebody more than that. That was crazy.
It really was, and it just the whole night was crazy, and things just got crazier as we went on. Next up was the second championship fight of the night. It was Weili Zhang, for the Chinese champion, took on Thug Rose Namajunas, who has earned that name this weekend. Oh, holy shit, dude! Round 1 happened, and before anything really went down, man, Rose Namajunas threw Richardson for backing his girl Thug Rose last week when I shit all over with Weili Zhang. So shout out to her for doing that. That's why I did not bet on Weili Zhang. We almost fired on that. We pulled it back because I felt something fishy, and I'm so glad that I did. So Thug Rose, the new champion of the world, she gets her belt again, which is very hard. And so super impressed by Thug Rose and her mental strength and just everything that she's endured to get here. So it was incredible to watch her knock her Weili out. What did you think about that kick?
Yeah, that was awesome, dude. Wasn't expecting it. Threw it, got her inside the guard. I mean, it was awesome. It was good to see her win. I like her, so I was happy.
Yeah. So that was the second to last fight of the night, and the co-main event. The main event of the evening was Kamaru Usman, who fought my boy George Gamebred Masvidal. And I mean, man, I love George Gamebred. I put my feelings aside and I said Usman was going to win this fight. Myself at times said that Usman was not that exciting. Well, he proved me wrong this weekend by silencing George Masvidal in 1 round, man. It was incredible. What did you think about that, T?
That was awesome, man. That was just all. It looked like a Mike Tyson punch-out hit, and you seen the sweat go everywhere. And then once he hit him with the hammer fist, you could just see Masvidal's soul leave his body after that. That was a wrap. But props to Usman. I mean, dude, that was a dirty knockout. Doesn't get any better than that. And it's Master Evolve too. So that's a feather in your cap, bro. So
Yeah,
props to Usman.
huge, man. I mean, so with that said, that was the end of the UFC 261, Usman versus Masvidal. Recap of the MMA for Money team bets was 2-0, baby. So cash those bets for you guys. I hope you guys like that money because we just that's what we do around here. It's just MMA for money. And we invest. So make sure you guys are putting 5 to 10% of your monthly salary into stocks or crypto. We've given plenty of advice on that, and a lot of people are up on their crypto and stocks. So if you want to be part of the MMA for Money team, make sure that you join the team on Twitter. Make sure you go to MMAforMoney.com. Actually, while I'm on the subject, my boy Primetime. Every fucking week, I tell you guys, get yourself a NASCAR package. What happened this last weekend? My boy Prime, he didn't just hit one NASCAR race. He hit 2, Saturday and Sunday, back to back. Plus 1,800, plus 1,100. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's plus 2,900 off 2 races, bro. It's incredible the rate that MMA for Money Primetime himself hits these things. He's the NASCAR GOAT. There's no one even close to as good as he is. So make sure you go to MMAformoney.com. Shout out to my boy Prime. Get yourself a NASCAR package. I tell you, it'll pay for your lady's wedding ring. It will pay for your Christmas. It will pay for a Valentine's Day next year. It'll pay for a lot of things. It's insane the rate that my boy fires on. So shout out to my boy once again, Primetime, because it was a crazy weekend between us cashing and MMA for Money himself, Primetime. Well, with that said, on UFC 261 is done. I'm gonna jump into. I'm gonna do a quick PFL. Quick picks. T is not going to really have any part of this one. I just wanted to do it for you guys, just so you know my thoughts on it. I'm just going to do the main card of the PFL 2. And with that said, the first fight of the night is going to be Emiliano Sordi. He's going to be fighting Chris Camozzi. Chris Camozzi is a former UFC veteran. I'm not the most fond of him, so I don't have the best things to say about him. But he's a favorite right now versus Sordi. Sordi was the former, I believe, PFL champion. I like Sordi. I think that he's has his game here. I think he beats Chris Camozzi, who has just showed me a lack of all-around mixed martial arts, especially the takedown game. So give me Sordi at that dog money. Next up on the card, we have Juan Zoferino versus Grayson Thibault, former UFC veteran. Zoferino's been in the game a long time, fought my boy Herman Tirado, and it just has a lot of heart. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, super sick Jiu-Jitsu game, and is not afraid to stand either. I just think that Grayson Thibault is a little too washed up here. 34-14. Zoferino is 24-9. It's just looks like a setup easy for Zoferino to win. So I'd go with Zoferino to win this fight, possibly by decision or possible submission. Then we have the co-main event of the evening. My boy Ray Cooper is going to be fighting Jason Panet. Ray Cooper is 20-7-1, and Jason Panet is 20-12-1. Man, I love Ray Cooper. He's a mean, hardcore Hawaiian hitting dude that just literally comes to bang, baby. 808 for life. I love this kid. He's going to come in there and he's going to throw heavy, heavy hands. And that's what he does every single time. And so I'm going to go with him, Ray Cooper by TKO KO. The guy that he's fighting, Jason Panet, he's been finished multiple times. He's finished by guillotine. He's been finished by a rear naked choke. So I just think that Ray Cooper is way too heavy-handed, and he's going to just put the lights out of Jason Panet, and that will be the end of his day. So if you like that fight, hit up Ray Cooper. The odds are, 1 second. He's a huge favorite, so no wonder why I like him so much. -600, do not touch that. Don't mess around with that type of numbers. It's not smart, but I definitely like Ray Cooper to win that fight. So, but that's obvious, real Mike. It's -600, bro. Why you got to pick the favorites, dude? Like, I don't even get it, bro. All right, next up on the card with the main event of the evening is Rory Mcdonald, former UFC just stud and veteran versus Curtis Millender, another UFC fighter. I wouldn't even say veteran because he barely had a stint in the UFC, in my opinion, but they're fighting at 170 pounds. Rory Mcdonald, I mean, I don't even need to say much about him, but we're going to go into Curtis Millender, 18-6. He's coming off a loss versus Sabah Homasi in a decision. And he's last 4 fights, he's lost 3 of 4, bro. So, I mean, it looks like a very easy setup for Rory Mcdonald to win this fight, hence the plus 395 price tag on Curtis Millender. But I mean, if Rory McDonald can't get this fight to the ground, with Curtis Millender gives up takedowns so easily, then Rory McDonald needs to retire. But I really believe that Rory advances here. He wins this fight, and it should be rather easily for that main event for the PFL. So just wanted to give you guys that little treat of the PFL. And like I said, no real picks because there's no lines that I could even fire at for you guys. But
that's Thursday. These are Thursday, huh?
Yeah, that's Thursday. So make sure you watch.
They start at 5:30 Eastern, 5:30 p.m.
Yeah, it's super early, I believe so. And so yeah, make sure you guys go look that up in your closest time zone because like I said, I'm not 100% on the time. I know it was early. I think it was like 2 p.m. starting in Pacific time. So
yeah, it's just odd. That's why when I saw it, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, no worries. So with that said, that's the PFL, the little bonus. And now we will move into the reason why we are here. UFC Vegas 25, Reyes versus Prochazka. Man, this is going to be a good event. I know there's not a lot of names people will recognize, but the real hardcore fans will will know some, and the fights will be a treat in general. But first up on the card of the prelims, we have Luke Cool Hand Sanders, who's 13-4. At negative 165 versus Felipe Colares, who's 9-2 at plus 135 as the underdog. Colares is taking this on short notice, and it's that's gonna be like the little bit of downfall for him. That just in my opinion. But Colares is a BJJ black belt, and he has really good kicks, man. For being a black belt and on the ground, he literally has some real sick kicks. So I think that with Luke, as wild as he is, Luke is going to come in there. He's literally like Julian Lang, let me bang, bro, type of dude. If he gets clipped, he'll come in there for more. Possibly Colares is a live dog here where he could throw up a kick and end up landing one on Cool Hand Sanders. But I'm going to go with Cool Hand Sanders because he's the veteran in this. But he's 3-4 in the UFC. Colares is 1-2 in the UFC. It's not the highest caliber fighting, but I'll go with Cool Hand Sanders just because of the experience. But if Colares catches him with that high kick, don't yell at me, bro, because Luke Sanders does have a chin issue, and if he gets caught, it won't be pretty. So, what do you think about that fight, T?
I mean, Sanders, he's got the reach advantage and he's got the experience. So I like that Sanders is at fight ready camp too. He hasn't been very active lately, but because of the experience and the camp he's in, I'd lean Sanders on this one. But next up on the card, we have Andreas Michailidis. I can't say his name versus KB Bhullar. Bhullar had a terrible debut against Tom Breeze where he got destroyed. I mean, that could have been nerves, and that was his first loss. He hasn't fought much competition. Andreas, his last fight, that was a weird loss versus Prochazka, so it's hard to take anything from that. I really need to see more from Bhullar, and the line's so inflated on Andreas. So I personally, I'll probably stay away from this one. But what you got on it, dude?
Yeah, I mean, this fight, KB Bhullar is 8-1 in the UFC. He just lost his last fight and got absolutely dominated by Tom Breeze. And if you know us on the podcast, I'm not the biggest fan of Tom Breeze. And if Tom Breeze is smashing you into the pieces, I really can never trust you. I know that's a little harsh on Breeze, but I just don't like him. I don't trust his game. He's very mentally iffy. He definitely has the body and the talent to do some things, but I just don't believe he's the type of guy that wants to come in there and kill. So if you finish KB Bhullar, I believe that Andreas can finish him too, and that KB Bhullar is just in for a rude awakening when he comes in there in the cage. So I'm going with Michailidis, but don't go in there and parlay this or slam your whole house on it. But I favor Andreas in this bout because Bhullar is just, I really don't believe about that life. Next up on the card, we have Loma Lookboom, who's 5-2, negative 400. It's a women's strawweight match versus Sam Hughes, who's 5-2 at the plus 300 comeback. First of all, negative 400, crazy guys. Like, holy moly, dude! Like 5-2 in the UFC. I mean, I like Loma Lookboom here. I believe she has the more experience. She's fought better competition. She's just shown me more, but at negative 400, like holy moly, bro! Look, Sam Hughes, he was 5-2. She had a terrible debut for her first fight. she's 20 years old. She'll have a slight height and reach advantage, but I'm just not sold on Hughes because I haven't seen enough. But negative 400, it's crazy. It's dog or pass here. I don't like this about at all. So please don't be the guys that bet on this, but I'm going to go dog or pass here. So I'm going to go with Sam Hughes because I don't like betting the big money. This isn't a bet. This is just, I've got to pick dog or pass. So I'm going to go with Hughes just because I don't like the money line. I just feel like it should be closer. What do you think about this one, T?
Yeah, I'm right with you. Hughes has the height and reach, but I don't really know what to expect out of these two in this fight. So I'd take the dog money at plus 300. I mean, if I would have bet it, I'd take that, or I'd go with the over for it to go to decision if I had to bet it. So I'm right there with you. But next up on the card, we got Kamaka versus TJ Brown. This should be a really, really good fight, to be honest. He's a really solid fighter. Brown, he's 0-2 in the UFC, so he's looking for his first W. I think the switch of camp for Brown is going to help him, and I think he'd probably be worth it at dog money here to take a shot at plus 130 versus Kai. But what you got here, Mike?
Yeah, Kai's from training out of Extreme Couture Las Vegas. He lost in devastating fashion in his last fight versus a guy on the card later tonight, Jonathan Pierce. He lost round 2. I don't like anyone who gets smashed that fast and coming off that. But TJ Brown as the underdog here, he just seems super positive and motivated. He made a camp change, and he's over there with James Krause and as the coach and the cornerman. He's training with guys like Dawson and Molina and all the guys over there about his size that he gets some good looks with. I think TJ Brown is a live dog here. I know he's 0-2 in the UFC and he's looking for his first dub, but I feel like he's live here. He's made the right choice to change camps, and Kai just hasn't shown me enough upside for me to bet on him. So I'm going to be going with the underdog TJ Brown here. I think that he gets it done at the plus 130 underdog. So if you like him, definitely go and hit that up. There was a few that we liked, and he was one of them. Then we have our first bet of the night, and we have Gabriel Benitez, 22-9, had a negative 210 versus Jonathan Pierce, who's 10-4 at the plus 170 comeback underdog. This is a men's featherweight fight. It's going to be really exciting, man. We just talked about Jonathan Pierce coming off an impressive win, beating Kamaka. And so he used to be at the MMA lab and is now at Fight Ready. He's really, really strong, man. He's going to be bigger. He's going to have the height and reach advantage. He's just going to be overall bigger in every spot. Gabriel Benitez, don't get me wrong, he is the negative 210 favorite. He has more experience in the octagon, and so that's kind of why they're giving him, I believe, the negative 210 price tag. But if my boy Pierce clips him with the power that he has and the size advantage, or stuffs the takedowns of Benitez, I just think he could finish Mowgli. So I'm going to go with my first bet of the night is going to be Jonathan Pierce. Plus 170. I'm going to be putting 1 unit down on the underdog here to just silence the favorite and just put Mowgli on his back and just end his night. So first bet of the night, Jonathan Pierce for the MMAforMoney team. What do you think about that, T?
Yeah, I agree with you. I like this bet. Pierce, he beat Kai in his last fight. Benitez, he's fought the better opponents, so he's got experience. But that's why the line is what it is. So I like the dog money here too. So I'm right with you, pushing it in for the bet. But all right. Next up on the card, we got Randa Marcos versus Luanna Pinero. 2 women fighting. Marcos, she's coming off of 3 L's against solid fighters. So she switched camps for this fight, so that could help her as well. Randa has more experience, so she may be worth taking as a dog. But I think a decision here is where I'm going to go in this fight. But, what you think, man?
Yeah, this is the exact matchup that I have a rule. It's the veteran versus the newcomer. Randa Marcos is the 10-11 in the UFC, plus 150 underdog, fighting Luanna Pinero, who's 8-1 at negative 185 for the favorite. But let's just go through this real fast and show you guys why I feel like this is suspect. Luanna is on a 5-fight win streak. Let's see, 6-fight win streak. Okay, so let's just go to the last 4. All right. The last win of hers, she won the first round with punches. Cool, dude, on Contender Series. She fought a girl who's 8-6. 8-6. Cool, you better fucking beat her. It's gross. And then before that, she fought in Brave CFF 29. She won the first round by punches. Cool, again, the girl was 4-2. She barely started fighting. Come on. Of course you're going to beat her. Then her next one before that is Brave CFF again, 26. She won first round by submission. The girl was 0-2. 0-2. So you see what I'm getting at here? Her record is more padded than a maxi pad for fucking women, dude. I don't like this fight. I feel like Marcos. I don't even like Marcos that much, but she is the live dog here. Marcos has way more experience. She's been up in the upper echelon of the sport, fighting some of the baddest girls that there are. I hate that I have to say it, but I'm going to back Randa Marcos here. There's no fucking way that I'm going to be backing a girl with that kind of a padded record versus a girl who's been here for as long as Randa Marcos has. I mean, it's crazy. Randa Marcos, she's on a 3-fight losing streak, but versus Murata, but Dern and Rebus. Dern is crazy. Everyone's all high on her. Look what she just did in her last fight. She lost by armbar. Cool. Mackenzie Dern's a stud in armbar. Amanda Rebus was a little monster. She lost to Claudia Gadelia. Like, Luanna's never, ever faced this type of competition. So I'm going with Randa Marcos here. I believe that the redhead, the Quiet Storm, she's going to win it. And so I'm going to be going with Randa Marcos to upset the newcomer. So,
yeah, that's a good pick. All right, well, after this fight, we'll move straight into the main card. First fight of the main card is going to be between Poliana Botello and Luanna Carolina. Poliana on this, I lean her because of the experience. Carolina, she got finished in her last fight, so I'd probably take Poliana by decision on this one. What you thinking, Mike?
This is going to be a weird one. Poliana Botello, yeah, she's got the more experience, and she's going to be, I believe, slightly bigger. But it's so iffy, man. I mean, she's won her fight by decision, and then the last one she's won by decision that she had was versus Lauren Mueller. Then she had versus Sayuri Kondo, who's not that great. She won around 1 punches and kicks. So she seems to like to stand. Every time she's won a fight, she's been standing. Luanna Carolina is actually really decent standing. That's the best part of her game. She just lost to Nibar on Ariane Lipsky because she just has a terrible jiu-jitsu game, in my opinion. But this is going to be a weird one, man. Luanna Carolina, I think she might potentially have a better clinch situation than Poliana Botello, but I just don't know enough on Luanna because of the fact that she just got smashed by Lipsky so fast. So I can't really bet on her. I'm going to be backing Botello, but don't get it twisted, man. If Luanna keeps it standing and actually lands some of those bony knees into the rib cage of Botello, or lands it into the liver, or lands it just anywhere that's going to hurt her, she could end up winning this fight. But I don't like this fight at all in the sense of for betting. So, it is what it is. Next up on the card is our second bet of the night. It's going to be Merab Dvalishvili versus Cody Stamann. Merab is 12-4, and Cody Stamann is 19-3. Merab is no longer at Serra Longo. He's over at Syndicate MMA, and I don't really like the fact that he's switching camps and not with Serra Longo and my boy Aljo and the likes. But Merab is absolutely amazing and one of the most underrated pressure grappler, wrestler, just fighters in the UFC. He's very much like Khabib is. I'm not going to say as good as Khabib in that sense because he's not. But his pressure is he doesn't give anyone a chance to let off their game. And he's going to be fighting Cody Stamann, who is a wrestler. That's what the best thing that he does is. And so Merab, I feel like, is going to cancel that out and just be pushing on Cody Stamann the whole time, have Cody Stamann's back up against the fence, possibly have Cody Stamann's back up against the canvas. And wrestlers don't like to be on their back, especially versus a superior wrestler grappler. I really like the spot here for Merab. We don't normally lay such a big favorite, but I just feel like this is an easy fight for Merab to win. He's prepared for Cody Stamann a couple times. His jiu-jitsu, his transition in wrestling. The only little edge that I might give Cody Stamann is that he might have a stand-up game edge, but I don't feel like Merab's going to be giving him enough space for him to even implement that. So I'm going to be putting 2.4 units on Merab to absolutely just show a world-class 3 rounds, the Cody Stamann, and just dominate him. I thought about betting the decision prop for Dvalishvili, but I don't want to get screwed in case something fishy happens and Merab ends up finishing him late in the 3rd round or something. But the second bet of the night is Merab, 2.4 units to win 1 unit. So let's go. What do you think about that, T?
Yeah, Merab's definitely the better fighter in my opinion. I show it. Merab, he's got a motor. He could go all day. And Stamen, his last fight, he got dominated by Rivera. So I don't really like this matchup for Cody against Merab. I think Merab's better everywhere, and he's got the stamina too. So Stamen, he's tough to finish though. So if you don't want to lay the juice, I'd probably go the decision route. But me and Mike, we're gonna lay the juice here. We think Merab got this. So all right. Well, next up on the card, we've got another good fighter, Sean Strickland versus Kristoff Jotco. I like Strickland a lot. Since he moved up in weight class, he's looked amazing. And Jotco, he's not a pushover, but he's had a decent layoff, and he's coming off a shoulder surgery. I really like Strickland here. He's gotten better every single time I've watched him fight. So I'm gonna go Strickland on this one. What you got, Mike?
Yeah, this is going to be a super exciting fight. Our boy Sean Strickland, who went out last time and cashed the bet for the MMA for Money show versus Brendan Allen. Shout out to Sean Strickland for cashing that for us for one unit. He's fighting Kristoff Jotco, who's 22-4, who's plus 200, negative 250 for Sean Strickland. I mean, Sean is just a mean motherfucker, dude. He's going to be coming in there to absolutely hurt you. Kristoff Jotco is not that type of dude. This is kind of like the in an alley theory. If you were in a bar in the middle of the night, 10, 11 p.m. at night or later, you drop Sean Strickland and Kristoff Jotco in an alley. Sean Strickland is eating Jotco up all fucking day, man. I just don't feel like Kristoff Jotco has enough all-around mixed martial art game to stop Strickland. I feel like Jotco does silly stuff sometimes and leaves his chin out there vulnerable to be literally hit by a big right hand of someone like Sean Strickland. Jotco's jiu-jitsu game is not superior than Sean Strickland. So I really like Sean Strickland here at the negative 250. Another bet that we also liked, so we almost did it, but laying the two big money lines would have been a little bit steep. So I'd rather lay it on someone like Jonathan Pierce, where we could just have a chance at it and get some dog money. But Sean Strickland here, I believe he's going to win and roll here. I believe he's strong enough and well-rounded enough to put the lights out on Kristoff Jotco. Kristoff Jotco trains out of ATT, Florida. He has really good camp over there, as you know. But he's coming off of multiple injuries. I don't like betting anyone who's coming off multiple injuries because you never know how their body's going to react. So I'm going to go Sean Strickland here by just devastation. The next up on the card, we have Ion, the Hulk Kutlaba, 15-6 at the negative 140 price tag versus Dustin Jacoby, who's 14-4 at the plus 115 underdog number. Well, this is a short notice step up for Jacoby. Devin Clark got injured, and so Jacoby had to step in. But Jacoby's been helping Jimmy Crute get ready for his fight versus Lionheart Smith last week. And I'm not sure how much to make of that since Jimmy Crute lost versus Lionheart Smith. But the fact is that if he has a good training partner like that, it's really nice to see someone about his weight class that could pretty much mimic Ion Kutlaba. So I think that Jacoby has a slight chance here. If he wasn't for a late notice, I'd probably like him more. But because of the late notice, Kutlaba is just preparing, and he's not on short notice. I feel like it's a great matchup for Kutlaba, who has some good power. Possibly could end this fight later in the rounds when Jacoby gets a little bit tired. But I don't know, man. Jacoby has good kickboxing experience, and if Elon does something stupid, man, he could end up being hurt. So I wouldn't lay any money on this fight, but I'm going to go Eon just by experience and power.
Yeah, I mean, Kutalaba, he prepared for Clark, and Jacoby stepping in on short notice. So it's a good matchup. I think it's going to be a good fight, but I'd lean Kutalaba. He's got some decent wins on his resume, too, and more experience. So, and with Jacoby coming on short notice, I'd have to go with Ian on that one. But next up on the card, we've got UFC vet Cub Swanson versus Giga Chikadze. Swanson coming off a dub, he really needed his last fight. Giga, he hasn't really fought anyone, in my opinion. He's unproven. He's the younger fighter, but he's really, really hyped up. People like him. I think the line might be off a bit on this one because of all the hype he's got. I think the fight should be a pick'em. So I think Cubs got some value here. I don't really have a lean either way though. But what you think about this one, Mike?
Well, this is a perfect example of a veteran with a little bit of gas left in him versus the newcomer. Cub Swanson, 27-11, who's plus 130 as the underdog versus Giga Chikadze, who's 12-2, negative 155 favorite. Cub, man, I mean, he's a OG. He's got so much experience, and he's still training really, really hard. He's at one of the best camps there is right now. It's like a little super cell camp called with Brian Ortega, TJ Dillashaw, Juan Archuleta, and the likes. And I really think that with those guys around the same weight class, they have a lot to offer. So, I mean, Cub is literally, he's coming off a 2-fight win streak back-to-backs. He's literally just spoiled people's, nights the last couple times. I really feel like this is a spot where Cub Swanson once again is being overlooked. Plus 130 for such a veteran with all that skill. Hasn't lost in a while. He believes in himself for the first time in a while. He's training right. He's eating well. He's probably just more mentally sound than he ever was. So I know Giga's going to have a little bit of size advantage and that the likes, but Giga is, let's see. It's not even tested, man. He's 12-2, and the last 3 fights, right? Or Jamie Simmons, he beat. Cool. He beat Omar Morales. Cool. Beat Irwin Rivera. Cool, bro. Cool. That's not enough for me to bet against Cub Swanson. So I'm going to be picking the OG veteran Cub Swanson here as the underdog, and I believe that he has enough experience and everything to roll and beat Giga. All right, well, now we have the main event of the night. Dominic Reyes, 12-2, plus 110 versus Yuri Prochazka, 27-3 with a negative 130 price tag. Wow, man. I mean, Yuri, super explosive, has crazy unique movement, but he does some of the stupidest shit at times and leaves his hands down and his chin open for you to be clipped. And a guy like Dominic Reyes, who just fought Jan Blachowicz, who's one of the best fighters in the UFC period, and then before that, versus John Jones to a decision. I really feel like he wasn't mentally there for the last fight versus Jan. He was still thinking about all the beef with John Jones and the fact he should have won that fight and woulda, shoulda, coulda. But this time versus Yuri, Yuri like I said, he does silly things, man. And I think that Reyes has just enough skill here and experience that he is the one to be favored here. So with the XP versus no XP, give me the Latin American Reyes all fucking day as the dog at the plus 110 price tag. It's it's pretty much a gift in my opinion. But don't get me wrong, Yuri Prochazka's really exciting, but he just literally just leaves his hands down or leaves his chin open at times, and that just worries me. So I'm going with Dominic Reyes, and I think that he just shows the skills that he has after the losses.
Yeah, man. If you watch that Vulcan fight, I mean, Jerry, he got hit a ton. He got hit a ton before he KO'd Vulcan. So to me, that doesn't really spell well for him. Reyes is tough, dude, and I mean, you can't fight better competition than what he's fought, in my opinion. I mean, he's fought the best of the best. So I think Jerry's carrying some hype into this fight, so I'm leaning Reyes here too for a bounce back off his last performance. And I think he can get the dub here as well.
Nice, yeah. Like I said, I like Reyes there as a dog, and especially with the experience. So, with that said, that's the end of the UFC Vegas 25 Reyes versus Prochazka. Thank you all so much for tuning in here live. We appreciate each and every one of you, the 5 awards that you gave us. Thank you for spending your Tuesday night with us. We really aren't a show without you guys. I hope that you guys cashed those bets last weekend. Make sure to go to MMAforMoney.com and get yourself a NASCAR subscription, because I'm telling you, dude, Prime hits those races and you guys are just missing out on free money. So with that said, I'd like to just thank everyone on the Haps team, all the Haps friends out there. Don't forget to subscribe to us on your platform of choice: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Casts, RSS feeds, and of course, Haps. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube for both full-length shows as well as smaller tidbits to get you through the week. And with that, let's roll.